Hi, I'm Heather Kemsky, editor of P&K Parents and Kids magazine, and your host at wickedlocalparents.com. Today I'm joined by Ursula Furi-Perry. She is a Haverhill mom, a lawyer, a college professor, and a longtime contributor to Parents and Kids magazine, and she's going to talk to us about a recent article she's written. This month, Ursula, you wrote a story on sex offenders. And the angle you took is what parents can do and what they cannot do.
Right.
Can you explain a bit about why you chose this topic?
Sure. I actually received a flyer from somebody in our neighborhood, and so did the rest of the houses in our neighborhood. It was a printout from the Massachusetts Sex Offender Registry Board, informing all of the neighbors that a sex offender had moved into onto our street. And I first thought, I appreciate this information because I'm a mother, I have 3 little boys to protect, but as an attorney, I also said, is this even legal? Is this infringing on someone's constitutional rights? So I wanted to take a look at sort of balancing the two, balancing the rights of offenders to live and to work where they please with the rights of parents to know.
Absolutely, and as a parent myself, it's a scary scenario.
Sure.
We see all over the news.
Absolutely.
That sex offenders tend to strike again, and certainly parents fiercely protect their children. What can parents do to protect their children within the law?
Sure, and one of the problems perhaps that we have is that the media portrays sex offenders as people who are who don't know your child, whereas that's not the case, and the numbers are pretty high, and I've seen anywhere from 80 to 90% of children who get abused are abused by somebody that the child knows. So you tend to see a lot of the high-profile stories as someone who doesn't know the child and abducts the child, and that isn't necessarily the case. And so what parents can do is to stay informed, and I recommend that they visit websites like Parents for Megan's Law, which are great organizations to help parents who want to find out about sex offenders in their neighborhood. Also, the Massachusetts Sex Offender Registry Board provides information on Level 2 and Level 3 sex offenders. And you can also go to your local police station to get information as long as you fill out a questionnaire and a release form. And I urge parents to do this for their own protection and for their own purposes, because one of the things that you can do is to use that information for something other than to protect yourself or your children, and that's very specific in the Massachusetts statute, and that's something that the statute protects against.
Okay, so that's something that you can't do. You can do it
Exactly.
to protect yourself. But you can. What are the things that you cannot do?
You can't use the information to harass a sex offender. You can't use the information to discriminate against the sex offender for purposes of living arrangements or hiring them for employment.
And do any of these sites recommend how to speak to your children?
Absolutely, and Parents for Megan's Law has some great information. So does the National Center for Missing Children.
Great. And also, in addition to writing this article, you also have a blog on wickedlocalparents.com
Yes.
called Legally Mom. Can you tell me a bit about what the content is for that?
Sure. We take a look at legislative issues, legal issues, especially in Massachusetts, and how they affect parents. And so we've looked at everything from education reform to sex offenders to fathers' rights, anything that you can think of that deals with the law but also deals with the rights of parents.
In future topics in Parents and Kids magazine, I know in September you'll be talking about the educational reform that
Yes.
has been proposed by Governor Deval. And then in addition, you will be also talking about different families
Yes.
in the Bay State. Can
Yes,
you
I'm
tell me
very
about those?
excited. I'm very excited about those topics. So we have a huge article coming out about the Educational Reform Act that Governor Patrick has proposed, and taking a look at what some of the components of that act are, some of the things that he's doing, for example, a universal pre-K and K and kindergarten education for all children, college, some form of college education for all children in Massachusetts. And also the November issue, we're planning a great article about non-traditional families. So I'd like to take a look at 3 families who are living different lives, different lifestyles, and the whole point of the article is to show how the definition of family has evolved over the decades, and to show that no matter what the family looks like, being together and living together is what matters.
Great. Thank you so much, Ursula, for your time.
Thank you for having me.